This is the Ultrahuman Ring Air, and it is designed to track your sleep, movement and recovery. And based on the information that it collects every day, it will give you daily feedback in order to improve your overall health. Fortunately for you, I've been wearing this for the past month, and so here are my thoughts. Huge disclaimer, I was gifted this ring from Ultrahuman, but I have been given full permission to give my honest thoughts. So let's get into it. Firstly, let's talk about the design. So it is, as you would expect, it is completely circular and it is incredibly light. In fact, it's around 2.5 grams, which is obscene considering the amount of technology in this thing. It is very, very easy to wear. In fact, I would say you don't even feel it when it's on your finger. I personally wear it on my index finger, and I would say that it has a slight boxed off design, which I think is notable, but on the whole, very, very comfortable to wear. And it comes with a neat little charging stand. Now, what I like about the stand is not only is it again minimal, similar to the ring, but it is USB-C charged. So it is basically very much up to date with current charging standards. On the topic of battery life, it is very, very good. It says on its website between 5 to 6 days. I would argue that it's more on the 6 days rather than the 5. And there was never one point during this previous month's worth of wear where I thought to myself, I wish it had longer battery life. I think 5 days in particular, certainly 6, it's a very good standard of battery life. When it charges, it takes about 90 minutes to get to a full charge. So again, even if it's just part of your bedtime routine every few days, pop it on charge and you'll never have to worry about battery life. Now, the most important thing when it comes to smart ring technology like this, and in fact most technology these days, is the software. Without the software, most tech is obsolete. Unfortunately, for the Ultrahuman Ring Air, the app is really useful and it's very intuitive and engaging. The first thing you'll notice is that it is littered with different color codes. And put simply, anything that is green will mean that it is a positive. You are doing something very well. Conversely, if something is red, it means that it is serious need for attention. And in the middle of that is amber, meaning that it's worthy of note, but nothing to worry about at the moment. I find that just from a very simplistic manner, really easy to understand. Assuming that you are somebody who is certainly unfamiliar with some of the terms that you'll find in this app, it can be a little bit overwhelming if there wasn't to be any color coding system. So I like the color coding system. It's a big thumbs up from me. What I also like as well is relative to certain areas of the app, you have these little info icons, and that essentially gives you a little bit more context in terms of a certain subject matter. Because going back to my previous point, if you are very unfamiliar with some of the terminology like HRV, for example, you can click on the information tab and it will give you not only a definition of what HRV means, heart rate variability, it will give you an explanation as to why it matters to you and why you should start thinking about it on a daily basis. In addition to not only explaining what some of these metrics mean, it then gives practical advice for you to implement into your daily routine. So if, for example, you have a low average HRV score, it would suggest that you are fairly stressed, whether it be through work, relationships, exercise, and so it would recommend things in order to reduce your stress during the day. A couple of special mentions in terms of the software, and the first of which is caffeine. Ultrahuman have put a real focus on caffeine, and I can understand why, because it has a huge impact on our ability to sleep and the quality of our sleep. And so within the app, you'll see several prompts with regards to caffeine, and one in particular is a caffeine threshold window. Now, this window is created based on your circadian rhythm, based on how much actual sleep you're getting, and in relation to light exposure. When does the sun come up? So all of these complex things are happening in the background, and it creates a window for you to consume caffeine. Now, understandably, what I like even more so about this is that it recommends dosages of caffeine relative to the time of day. So if it's 9 a.m. in the morning, the app will tell you that, you know what, you can actually have 200 milligrams of caffeine at this time. because if you do that, it will potentially enhance cognitive and physical abilities, but it won't impact your sleep. However, if you go onto the app at 2 p.m, your caffeine threshold window will still be open, but the amount of caffeine that it recommends will be significantly less. So instead of having a can of Monster or another coffee, you may have a Diet Coke, for example, because you may not consider it, but Diet Coke has around 35 to 40 milligrams of caffeine. So I find it really useful from a practical representation to actually manipulate your caffeine accordingly so you can improve your sleep. Another bit of software that I really enjoyed using was Sleep Debt. And this simply means how much sleep you owe your body. Because if we're all honest with ourselves, as much as I personally strive to have amazing sleep, there are some nights where I just don't get as much as I would like. So for example, if I'm normally getting 8 hours, but for 3 days in a row, I'm getting 7, it means that my sleep debt is minus 3 hours. And so come the Thursday, when I'm due for my 4th sleep, I will then think to myself, okay, maybe I'll improve my sleep hygiene tonight. Maybe I'll stay in bed a little bit longer the following day in order to recoup the sleep that I've lost. So in terms of exercise, being completely honest, I don't use it for that. I consider this more of a recovery device and a companion device. I have an Apple Watch and that tracks my running, it tracks my weight training, and fortunately, what I will give kudos to this ring for is it connects with Apple Health very easily. So any exercise I track on here, it goes to Apple Health and then it goes to the ring. So it's not that nothing is getting recorded, but I don't, for example, go on a run and press record on the Ultrahuman Ring Air app, nor do I go to the gym and use this ring because, again, being completely honest, I've never worn this in the gym because it's just going to get scratched. I hardly use this in terms of software, but you do have the ability to go through breathwork sessions. So going back to one of my earlier points, if you have been highlighted to be very stressed, it could be that you do a 10-minute breathwork session within the app and it gives you feedback in terms of how your heart is reacting. So if you need 10-15 minutes to yourself, there is opportunity within the app to have, I suppose, some meditation. Quite useful for those who think they need it. In addition, you can add food into the app. Now, personally for me, I don't track my calories, and so it was a bit obsolete, but I did trial a couple of food items, and what I did notice, which I think again is quite neat, is when you add in certain products, not only does it distinguish what it is, but it actually assesses what is in that product. So for example, I put a can of Monster in out of curiosity, and it gave me an abundance of information relative to that item. So it was highlighting things that could be of concern and highlighting what it actually does to the body. So if you are all in terms of nutrition, this is a way that you can get more from what it is that you're eating every single day. Fortunately, when it comes to smart rings, this has a face value of £329. In addition to that, it has no subscription. In a world where every company is trying to get money out of you every single month, Ultrahuman Ring Air is basically saying, buy the ring and that's it. And I find that really refreshing because my music, my running apps, my YouTube account, everything is subscription based. So it is nice to see that not everybody is flocking towards that business model. So huge plus for the ring. Compared to the OURA Ring, which I have had for a couple of years now, so I am potentially a little bit biased towards that ring because of how long I've had it, the Ultrahuman Ring just doesn't feel as premium. It does feel a little bit cheaper. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of the material, but when I wear the OURA Ring and when I wear the Ultrahuman, I much prefer the feel and aesthetic of the OURA Ring. That is just a personal opinion, but it'd be wrong for me to exclude that from this review. I feel as if it's a cheaper ring in terms of feel. One of the things I didn't enjoy as much was the notifications. You get a lot of notifications from the app, whether it be light exposure in the morning, whether it be the caffeine threshold window, whether it's time to take some downtime, whether it's going to bed, your sleep window. It was just a lot of information, and I could be practicing all of these bits of feedback already, but I will still get reminded of it. So I understand the logic behind pumping out that information every day to make an action a behavior, But for me, it got a little bit too much and it did get a little bit annoying. So I actually just turned off notifications, which in a way kind of makes the ring obsolete, but I think Ultrahuman need to give the customer more customization in terms of what notifications they want. Unfortunately, I did experience some bugs with the ring to the point where my ring wasn't recording my step count, my app wasn't connecting to the ring, and so I literally lost days of data because it wasn't working. And so that in itself is something that should be highlighted, but fortunately will simply be a resolve in the future via software. On the note of software, however, similar to the notifications, there are a lot of app updates. Now, I don't know whether I should look at this as the app's really buggy, hence the amount of updates, or the app is just continually improving in terms of new features. I think it is a bit of both. But for example, when I had an issue come up, it was fixed via an app update, but that app update then created another issue, which then had to be resolved via another app update. So I think, to give credit to Ultrahuman, it's relatively new into the field, and so I think it's just going to take time to stabilize the software as a whole, but that did happen and it was a bit of a nuisance. So would I recommend the Ultrahuman Ring Air? The short answer is yes. If you are new to this field and you are wanting to track your sleep, movement, recovery, and you also want to track some basic exercise, I don't think you can go wrong. In addition to that, there's no hidden fees. If you were to ask me personally, however, what I prefer, you will have noticed that throughout this entire review, I have been wearing the OURA Ring, and I have been doing that for 2.5 years now. So I am very invested in this ring, but what I prefer more about this ring is it feels more premium, it looks more premium, and the app experience is more minimal. It's not in your face, it gives you the stuff that you need to know, and there's no noise outside of that. I do find the Ultrahuman Ring Air at the moment a little bit overwhelming, and if you are somebody who has not invested into smart tech, whether it be a watch or ring, because of the fear that it doesn't look premium and you're used to luxury watches, I would hands down recommend the OURA Ring. I think this is the place to go. So, they're my thoughts. Thank you, Ultrahuman, for the gift. I've really appreciated it, and I'll see you on the next one.